Spirit-based therapies here, finishing off the week with the wonderful Archangel Michael and the topic of ascension. So, at the beginning of the week, Archangel Michael was helping us to understand that ascension is the words that he was using. Ascension can be described different ways, but ascension is a thinning of the veil, a thinning of the veil between the physical human reality that most of us are conscious to and awake to at any given moment in time, and the spirit reality that actually interposes, sits through this physical human reality at any given moment in time. And existing between those two realities, Archangel Michael was explaining that there is a veil, and that veil through the process of ascension is starting to become thinner. Now, one of the reasons that it's starting to become thinner is that the relationship between spirit and earth is changing. So, to help you understand that pictorially, I would say that okay, so this hand here is the earth, and this hand here is spirit. And as things exist at the moment, there's quite a lot of separation between the reality that is earth and for us that is humans and the reality that is spirit. And with ascension, the consciousness of the earth is changing and her internal vibration is raising. And so that level of separation is decreasing. That is basically a really just simple explanation of what the ascension process is. So, what does that mean for you and I? Well, as I explained at the beginning of the week with Archangel Michael, what that means for you and I is that because we are made of the materials of the earth, okay, then that means that the relationship between spirit and the matter in our body, the material, the earth materials in our body, that relationship is changing as well. There is much more opportunity in the human form and in the human experience for consciousness to rise at the moment, for your consciousness to become more refined, for it to vibrate at a higher frequency. The higher the frequency your general consciousness vibrates at, then the closer that frequency sits to the frequency of spirit itself. Then, of course, the veil thins because there isn't as much separation. So, this veil thing, right? What's that like? Well, as a psychic, it means that, the veil is always very thin for me, and but the veil becoming thinner means that there's a lot more light that is able to make its way into our bodies, our beings, and the world. When you become, this is the key here, this is why I've labeled this little video here Ascension Symptoms, because that's something that's talked about in spiritual circles quite a bit. When there is more light that is coming in, sometimes what can happen is that of which doesn't suit the vibration of the light, that of which is naturally opposed in some way to the vibration of light, it can start to become more obvious. So basically, with more light coming through to us, to the earth, to us as humans through this ascension process and through the thinning of the veil, that means with more light available, those knotty and thorny parts of us, those darker, more mysterious shadow parts of us, then they are being bathed in light more. And when they become bathed in light more, we become more aware of them. And when we become more aware of them, then we can become more aware of the symptoms within them. For instance, you might have some trauma that sits in your body, some trauma from your childhood. And as more light starts to come into your body, as your consciousness starts to rise, then your awareness of that trauma becomes stronger. You basically start rubbing up against that trauma. And so you become more aware of it. So in the short term, you're like, oh my God, I'm getting worse. Things are getting worse for me. And the trauma might have a vibration of, I'm a bad person, okay? Because your parent left when you were quite young, and the way that you internalized that unconsciously was to blame yourself and say that you're a bad person. And so you start, as more light starts coming into your body, as your consciousness starts to shift and rise, you start rubbing up against that trauma, that story of I'm not good enough, and you start to notice it. And the most important thing when this happens is to keep connecting to the light, because you as a human being might not know how to transform that story, what to do with that story, but your spirit and your soul self does know. It has the ability to unwind, undo, transform, and transmute that old story. Another way that this can happen is that you, as your consciousness starts to rise, you start to reclaim vibrational space back in your body, and there might be a latent infection that's been in your body for a really long time, like Epstein-Barr virus, for example, sits latently in the body. And then as your consciousness starts rising, you start rubbing up against the space that the Epstein-Barr virus, as an example, has been taking up in your body. And then you start to get symptoms. You start to get an achy body and a sore body, and you start to have angry feelings really easily. You become a lot more reactive. That is another example of what can happen. So the ascension process is fundamentally wonderful. The opportunity for personal growth and development is just off the scales. The opportunity for consciousness growth is amazing. There are some thorny steps along the way. So when you are encountering some of those thorny moments, my encouragement to you is to keep orientating yourself inwards towards your own soul spirit connection. And Archangel Michael is an excellent resource for this. Archangel Michael will lift your vibration. He will help you connect to that knowing of spirit being a reality inside of you. And by connecting to that, opening up space for that reality of spirit to be more in your psyche and in your body, then your human self can get out of the way and allow your spirit self to do the job of creating transformational change inside of you. So if you want a quick connection to Archangel Michael, say you don't have time to sit down and do a meditation, another thing that I'll tell you is that you don't have to sit down and do a meditation either. If you're in one of those places where you're very agitated and can't sit still and your life's really busy, you don't have to sit still, lie still, and do any of the meditations in this group. Instead, just listen to them. Listen to it while you're driving your car. Listen to it while you're going for a walk. Listen to it while you're doing the dishes. My words are still going to bring the light of that healing spirit into your body and into your being, regardless of whether you are consciously paying attention to it. Sure, if you are consciously paying attention to it, then you might feel the results of the meditation faster, but that light will still eventually find its way through to you. So a nice, quick and easy way to connect with Archangel Michael is to just, if you don't want to actually you can place your hands in a prayer position and put them in front of your heart like this. If you're out in public and you don't want to do that because you feel a bit self-conscious, then just imagine your hands are in front of your heart. Drop a point of focus into your heart. Imagine a single dot of focus in the center of your heart and say, Archangel Michael, please send your healing vibration of purple light in and through my heart, in and through my body. Just ask. If you are able to, while you're walking along, just imagine a purple color. Imagine a purple color in your light, in your heart, I meant to say, not in your light. If you're having difficulty doing that and that doesn't cut through, a really simple, quick trick that works is to draw an outline of your body like that. It's very sexy, isn't it? It's more like a gingerbread man. And color it in the color purple using a texter or a pencil or something. Color it in purple while you are, you know, thinking that that purple is Archangel Michael, and that will bring the light of Archangel Michael into your body. All right, and it'll bypass your mind and your thoughts and your irritation and your unsettledness inside of you, and it will eventually make its way through into that unsettledness, but it might take a little bit of time. That is something that is well worth doing. Another thing is that I make healing sprays. You can find them on my website. You can buy them through my website. This is the Archangel Michael one. Getting rid of some of the light there. And this is a really quick way of bringing Archangel Michael's light into your body and into your space to lift the vibration, support you to be connecting to the spirit within more. So that's all I wanted to say to you today. If you happen to listen to this video, then please, if you can, let me know what you would like from me in this group. I've noticed that not nearly near as many people are watching and participating in these videos and the meditations anymore. So that means, that tells me that I possibly need to change the group up a bit, that I'm not actually giving to the group what the group might want or might need. So if you have any ideas about that, or anything that you feel like I'm missing in what I'm offering to you in this group, then your suggestions and your comments would be greatly received and appreciated. All right, thanks for now. Bye.